Comment on this YouTube channel, Two Clean Johns. Whoever you are, you have been secretly dominating uploading Twitter Spaces.
That guy hit subscribe for him.
Jaewon, welcome to
Jaewon, you got the
part
floor, man. Welcome
one of
back.
JBTV After Hours. Welcome.
You got the
Yo,
floor.
what's up,
Welcome
yo?
back.
What's up?
What's good?
How
What's
you
good?
doing,
Welcome
man?
back. Welcome back.
I caught on a little late. I seen you added me. Why y'all keep saying I don't have love for Tupac?
That's not. Somebody said it, but I don't think that was the main point. That wasn't the
Well,
main point. Somebody said
could y'all catch me up then? Cause I joined in last minute.
it. Okay. How did it go? Da 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 da.
Don't make me catch them
R-
up, cause y'all was
yeah,
hating.
catch him up. Go ahead.
Y'all was hating.
I'm reading my topic. So pretty much, you made a comment. It was on the Monday Patreon. You know, I know that you've discussed it pretty much all week, but our show is once a week on Sunday, so we just go out throughout the whole week and we discuss all the topics. So, you made a comment, and we don't think that whatever you were trying to say on the Monday pod, it didn't land. Like your point wasn't clear to even your co-host that you were trying to pod with. And that led to even the people on the timeline and the listeners not understanding what point you were trying to make. And even though you say you like Pac or whatever, it came off as that you might not like him and you're just trying to make excuses for his success and the love that he has. We were just discussing that point. Somebody else at the end said just you don't like Pac,
Yeah,
but
somebody had more to say.
All right, let me clarify for y'all, right? Because I not my shit has not changed since. Me and Ian were directly talking about rap. Imani and Ish made it about influence. So they took what the point of what Ian was asking me and made it about influence, right? That's how we got to the little baby and NBA YoungBoy and all of that. I feel, and I've said this even to my father, who is somebody who was on Bad Boy, that Biggie and Pac are both placed unnecessarily high in the rankings of hip hop because they were both the center point of the East Coast West Coast beef at the times of their death, and that they died at young ages, what would be considered young in rap for that time period, because 25 in rap is no longer young in this time period. That was it. I don't, as far as rap, I feel like they are placed high, and people forget there was other artists at the time that if we just talking about rap and just rap alone and not outside influence and all of that, that they are placed high when we do have people who was around like Nas. You have Wu-Tang, you had other artists who were around that could have made an argument. My main point of who could have made an argument for being better, at least better than Pac rapping wise, if not neck and neck as well with Big, is Nas. That was my point. But everything got lost in translation when we were talking about rap, when Imani and Ish made it about influence. There's a lot of artists who have influence outside of music. Ian was talking to me directly about rap.
But who doesn't
yeah,
have
so,
rap?
so
Who doesn't have Nas high on the rap? Like
No,
everybody
it
has
wasn't.
Nas equal to
No,
him.
no. See, you see how you missing it? That wasn't my thing. We was talking about. Ian was asking me about why I don't feel he should be that high as far as rap. Like how, that was it. They made it about influence. It wasn't supposed to be about influence. I don't care about nobody else's influence. He was talking to me about where do I place him as in the list of top rappers? Why do I feel he isn't that as a rapper? And that was just my point. They are placed, I feel, because of everything around them, they are placed unnecessarily high. And that we always look at what they would have been based off where they were at musically at the point. That was it.
When
They took it to the next level of influence and all of that.
Well, I
and
understand the point. I just don't agree with it because I feel like they wouldn't have been the center of the East Coast, West Coast had they not had the rap excellence that they displayed. People were following them for a reason. I mean, if they weren't talented, people ain't gonna be like, yeah, let's East Coast, West Coast this shit just for the fun of it. They were both very good rappers that were able to get people like, gung ho about shit and like going on. So I get what you're
No,
saying. I just
no,
think
I
that
agree. I agree. I just feel like people, I feel it's just one of those, we're placing them here, boom, because XYZ. Like, and other rappers, if we get like forgotten about. from that
and we're
time
not.
period. And that like when it comes to them, niggas forget just woo woo woo. Nas had addressed it on the Godson album. Who you think kicking the door was about? Like he has addressed like nigga, I've been here. That's just me, and I'm not here to change nobody's opinion. Y'all all clearly way older than me. So y'all also grew up in the era of Tupac and Biggie. So y'all are gonna revere them in a way that maybe a nigga my age or younger or maybe even a little older will not. And they both are incredible rappers, not taking that from them. My point is, stop thinking I don't like Pac. I like Pac. What I hold him as one of the top rappers from a technical standpoint, a witty standpoint, and all of that. No, he wasn't. As far as rap, when I listen with a rapper's ear, he didn't move the needle as far as a rapper, but you felt him. But so that's where it gets difficult. Now, if we was able to finish the discourse about just rap on a pod, my point would have landed. But E and Ish took it to influence and move the needle, and it was like that. It's not about that. Get what
So
I'm
you
saying?
so
And,
so you were strictly talking about the mechanics, the flow, lyricism, all that stuff. Basically, all the
Yes,
sliders that makes a great rapper.
yes. And then when they came with the influence, that's when the likes of Little Baby and Young Boy came out, and then Pop Smoke. Because I said, if we talking about influence, there's artists from now who have that influence that that they were talking about, but they're not gonna acknowledge it because they didn't grow up in the times of them. Like Ish, whoever can say they still listen to them, these artists now, but they're not gonna understand it because they're not in their youth or early youth to see how the young people are directly influenced by these artists as they were back then. Niggas back then, I've heard it from old heads. When Juice came out, everybody wanted 40 belows and called them the Tupac boots. That was my point. Well, you can't say that because Pop Smoke right now, you got the whole world saying his braids is the Pop Smoke braids. You had young niggas in high school, middle school, kids wanting to go out and get a Marys doing certain things. You got kids who don't know Chief, don't know Little Dirk or Young Boy from nowhere, out here saying won't listen to young Lil Dirk dissing Lil Dirk peoples. You got people that don't know Young Boy dissing Young Boy because they super fans of Little Dirk. Got OTF tatted. That influence is there. We may not acknowledge it because we don't hold them in such regard, but that influence is there, and that was the point. But when you got six people, five people yelling at each other, and not wanting to hear what the other person is saying, it is gonna be missed. That's why Ice interjected and said they're right as far as that influence, and it really all it boils down to is a matter of age and timing difference. We're not outside. Well, they're outside. I'm not gonna say they're not outside, but they probably have very few interaction with kids that's high school, early 20s, as I would have, being that I got a lot of little cousins and stuff like that. So I can see that influence in them from these artists that I mentioned.
now, to be fair, I think the question itself started with Ian Dunlap, and he started off with, "Why don't you like Tupac?" And then you proceeded to answer, which, you know what I'm saying, like that's probably why it
That
sound it
that can I
sounded.
cut in? Can I cut in real quick? Because I want to go back to the Anons. I just wanted to shut some shit down real quick.
Go ahead.
What's
Go
good?
ahead,
What's good?
E.
Co-
What up, E? What's
What's good,
good?
co-
everybody? Yo, Jaewon,
what's
what's good,
up?
nigga?
E, what up, kid?
What up? Yo, so the conversation started from Jaewon's disdain for poetic justice. And that's when Ian asked him, yo, why you don't like Pac? It never started from music. There was never no standpoint. There was never no uh, parameters of where we were having the conversation. So when he expounded on what his thoughts was as far as Pac, me and Ish didn't switch the conversation. We extended it by dealing with the whole entity of what Tupac gave to the game. So that was the start of the conversation. So yeah, it wasn't a thing where it was already decided that Ian's question was basically given to J1 off of rap. And then also, I think the assumption that people say, you know, you're not outside to understand and feel the influence that Pop Smoke had at the moment. Um, it's the furthest thing from true because I have cousins. I have my own experience of being outside. I also have kids who live in the music and see the music, so I'm able to see it firsthand where with kids who have never even lived an ounce of that with Pac shouldn't really speak on any level of his influence because they don't even have a memory to attach to it. Like I have, at least at bare minimum, I have some level of memory to understand what Pop Smoke meant. They don't have any of that. So that's why I said the conversation is just a circular thing and it'll never get nowhere because you can't really have a double-sided experience. But salute. I want to go back to the
No,
A-Nas.
that's a fact. But I also don't agree with that because, as y'all say, kids got to go back, do their research, and look into artists. You of all people know, I am hip hop purist to the form. I do all of the research, have done it forever,
Chill, don't
and
talk,
it's
don't
all.
chill, don't talk to me because now I want
Now
to
look,
stay and talk. I want to go back
nah,
to the
but look,
A9s.
look, nah,
I'm
but
out,
look,
nigga.
it's
I'm out,
it's
nigga.
all right. But all right, so to the rest, it's also unjust. It would be doing a disservice to say we can't have the conversation because Pop Smoke only been dead what 3 years. We don't know what in 30 years the new young kids if they gonna be in tune. We don't even know if like you get what I'm saying. So I
hold
don't
up,
like
won't
that
that your
argument
argument
that
against Pac is that we wouldn't know what happened, and then we giving that same argument to Pop Smoke?
no,
Okay.
that wasn't it. No. So it's like we also basing it off of somebody who's been dead 30 years. All of you guys is 30 plus years old. So that is y'all youth until well into y'all adulthood.
Damn.
When I hit 50 years old, we don't know what the club scene is gonna be like when they playing Young Boy and Little Dirt and fucking Pop Smoke and all of that. It can be the same way y'all feel now about Pac and all the other artists that came before them, the predecessors, can be how we'll feel.
Yo, Jaewon, let me just tell you real quick. I'm 31, right? But the difference, and I don't know if you have older siblings, um, but I have older siblings. I have two of them.
Nah, I'm the oldest.
Okay, so that's probably like there's not much of a there's not a huge age gap between you and I, but back when I was crawling, like my brothers would walk into the house with CDs, Pac and shit. Like I couldn't avoid it. While I was climbing counters to get snacks, they were playing the shit. So it's like I wasn't outside for it, but I just heard it around the house. Right now, current favorite rappers, what I listen to every day, Dirk, Young Boy, a little bit of Fredo Bang, um, all the new gen shit. Like I'm not Pac is not like what I listen to every single day here. That's just me though. I just had older siblings. I wasn't outside for none of that shit.
No, that's a fact. I have older cousins, my father and them, my uncle and them. So I was the same way you saying you couldn't avoid it. I couldn't avoid it neither. But listening, because I have a trained ear in damn near all of rap. Like, unfortunately, as a rapper, it ain't that, bro. He is tough. He is tough. You feel what he's saying. But for the technical standpoint, he was not that. Me and Ian furthered our conversation off camera, so we knew what we was talking about. And this conversation stemmed from a Twitter conversation beforehand. So that's also probably why E and Ish didn't realize that me and Ian was here. Because Ian joined my spaces the other day, and he was like, "I knew what you were referring to."
Right. Okay.
But I
Gotcha.
do, but I do realize, as far as like viewership and fans, sometimes y'all do be needing nuances to conversations to understand our points.
Yeah, I think I just think, I mean overall I started this whole space saying the Monday Patreon was a tough listen. Like you were trying points were being made, but a lot of over talking was happening. So a lot of misunderstandings were happening as well. So that could have also been it. It was just a tough point to land and discuss. Jonah, then Asia, then
hmm
I think we're gonna move forward.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back, Dash. Good to hear
Thank you.
your
Appreciate you.
voice.
Appreciate you.
So I don't, as someone who is older than Jaewon, I don't fully disagree with him. I don't agree on everything, but I don't fully disagree. Number one, as someone who was younger, but I definitely am an 80s baby, grew up in the 90s. Um, what people don't take account for is back then it was very regional. East, like when you was grew up on the East Coast, you had a lot of regional music. You know what I mean? We were heavy on the Locks. We were heavy on Biggie. We was heavy on Hov. We was heavy on, Redman, Method Man, all that type of stuff. Then you go to the West, it was heavy on Cube and Ice T and all that other type of stuff, right? Southern regional. One thing that I think doesn't come into context is how regional we used to be, because once the early 2000s came into play, the South took over and we just kind of leaned into the South being the sound. You get what I'm saying? There wasn't one sound to hip hop in the 90s based off of where you lived. So to me, somebody that's on the East Coast can feel that Pac is hyped up because we were not bumping Pac like that. I mean, you listened, you knew of him, he definitely was impactful, but to say he was a greater rapper, like I'm gonna say honestly, like people like me is like Rakim ain't even mentioned, and Rakim, like, come on now, what we got going on? Are we okay? Are we cool? But again, I'm from the East Coast. Like I grew up, like my dad listened to that, and that's the type of stuff that I would consider way more impactful from a rapping perspective than Tupac. But again, I feel like that's never taken into consideration. Also, I know this might be problematic to some of y'all, but I'm gonna just say it. I really need us to stop doing this whole, well, if he was alive, we don't know what he would have been. Yeah, we don't, but he's gone. Because there's plenty of artists that died early, and what we do is we hang on what they did when they were here. Big example. Everybody thinks that Biggie and Tupac are the youngest people to die that were greats. No, Otis Redding died at 26. We don't sit there and say Otis Redding, oh my God, he's the greatest because of what he could have been. No, we say he was great for what he did while he was here. And so if we're able to keep it into context with what he did while here, Pac was cool, but Pac did a lot of jumping around. Pac did start here, started there, went to the West Coast, was over here, was doing movie. Like he did a lot of different things. But I don't love the perspective of he's goaded because what he could have been. I don't like that at all because I think we're adding in the fact that there could have been a lot of factors and variables where he could have fell off. We don't know that. So I think if we're going to talk like greats in the industry, we kind of got to keep the same line in hip hop that we do in other genres because like I said in R&B and soul, you have plenty of people like a Otis Redding. Everybody knows Otis Redding was that dude. He old, but he was 26. So a lot of times we don't think about that and we want to gas up Biggie and Pop to certain people because they were 25 thinking about what they could have been. I personally don't like that argument.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
guys.
it's less about the argument of what they potentially could have done, is into more so what was accomplished in that finite period of time
Exactly.
compared to Otis Redding.
Well, that's not always the argument though, Lucky.
I Yeah,
Mad people
I never
say
make
if
okay.
he was that, no, and I'm not saying you, but a
Yeah,
lot of people argue. A lot of people argue. They were just 25. Imagine what they
Like,
could have been. It's
yeah,
like, nah,
But
and
but
that's
they
a weak
died at
yeah,
view. I
25.
agree
and
So
with
we
that's
got
a
we
weak.
got to stop there.
I think that
I
part
think
of
that's
that
people
argument though.
who haven't really
They
been
don't really
around.
know. Like you got to
Yeah,
stop it right there
but I
because a
think
lot
part
of
of
our
that.
greats
Yeah,
died early. That's unfortunately a part of the
True.
the casualty of being black in certain spaces and being in entertainment. Sometimes they get hooked on drugs and they do
right.
pass away earlier than they should. But we do live in, which is why a lot of people, not more so now, but a lot of people from other generations live in a lot of like nostalgia. You get what I'm saying? It's cool to revere the nostalgia of Pac and the nostalgia of Biggie, but to me it is like I think we don't take into consideration regional rap. It was very regional back in the 90s. I'm sorry, it was.
The one thing I'll give to anybody that does make that argument is it was a different era, and his relationship to other artists was the thing that you could use as a barometer on where he could have gone from that point. The same even with Biggie, his relations to other artists at that time and what his plans were if that moment in his life did not become the final moment in his life or their lives. I think that,
we
but
can't run with that
I know
We
though.
we
don't
can't run with
know
that.
Yeah,
that.
I know
I
we.
just feel
And
like
the
We
we
only
gotta stop
reason
doing that to
I
me.
feel
I
like
would
we
say I know we can't, but we do that with our other public
We don't
figures.
though. No,
We
we
no,
we
we
don't.
don't do
don't.
that.
disagree
We
though.
All
Do
don't do
like
not
that with
do
I
that.
Malcolm
feel
X and
like
Martin Luther
no,
we
King.
are not standing up for
because to
Tupac.
that argument, if that y'all gonna make that argument, that's to say if Biggie was still alive, Jay Z wouldn't be the Jay Z
Facts.
he is.
That's
Literally.
not
It's
true.
That's
to
why I'm saying
like
I
Literally.
that's
feel
the
like
argument. Like
he is a
that.
goat because of
Huh?
what he
Whoa, whoa,
did.
whoa, whoa. Now hold on.
That
Why
doesn't make it a weak
why y'all
argument.
Why y'all?
conflate the two things? Why does
No,
it
No,
it's
it's
have
not
to
not
conflating.
conflicting.
automatically
Wait,
be?
no.
Hold
We're,
on.
we're
No, no,
Yo,
no.
He
let's
He
have
just
a
said
why
let's
y'all
if we
let's
conflating
comparing
the
it.
well,
two?
one mic.
Micah. The reason why
One
uh,
argument could be made without the other argument. Just like somebody
Thank
said that
you.
No,
Aaliyah and Beyonce thing,
You
that
no,
know
that
no.
why
But
I'm
has
gonna say
but I
that?
think
that
what
has
Because
nothing
Jaewon
to
is.
do
you
with
just said,
any particular
but
thing at all. That has
no, I'm
nothing to
saying
do.
it to the point, Micah.
Aaliyah
You
can be
said
Aaliyah and Beyonce can still be
I think
Beyonce.
yeah,
They both could have
I
had
think
But
yo,
this
we
babies
yo,
at the
can't. But
same
we
yo,
time.
can't
hold
act
on.
like
Can
That
I?
one
that's
doesn't impact
everybody's
the
Let me
other
tell you
subjective.
why
though.
I said that
But
though.
one does
The
impact
reason,
the other though. So like for example, I'm not
No,
saying
the,
that.
one
true.
does not
Yes,
impact the
it
other.
does.
no, it does. And the
We
reason I
still
said
have
that,
a
It
Micah,
Drake
definitely
and we
does.
still
Micah,
have a
listen,
Kendrick. It is
Micah,
very
listen. I'm
possible
gonna
to
tell
have
you why I said
three
that.
people that's great at one time. It's
Micah,
not
I'm gonna
one
tell you
person is
why I
not
said that.
always the greatest, just the greatest.
Micah, I'm gonna tell you why I said that. You just said his parameter and you said in relation to the other celebrities he was with
No,
and
no,
what
no,
they
no, no.
no hold on.
That was not my point. That was Lucky who
That was
said that.
me.
All right,
I
well,
only
whatever.
jumped in
To
at the end. Yeah,
To
Lucky. Yeah.
Lucky's point is why I said what I said. And this isn't something that is a hidden secret in hip hop within the community, inside the inner workings. Especially in New York, in the industry, that is a felt
That's because
thing.
New York is a crab eat crab
No, it's not a
mentality.
No,
That's
it's
how they
biggie, right?
live.
not.
That's
No,
yes,
nigga,
it
No,
Jay
it's
is.
Z.
not.
A little bit of order.
Let me finish
Oh,
my
he
point.
he beat the
Jay
mute.
Z is Biggie's little man.
Damn, he beat the mute. Yeah, all right, go ahead.
Jay Z was Biggie's little man. It was no. That's why we feel.
Oh, that was a double mute.
Fucking double
Go ahead.
mute, double mute. You good?
Yeah, some
Man,
double
J1
mutes.
he broke through the mutes.
Yeah,
It
he
ha-
did.
it,
He
ha- it
really
happens.
did.
It happens on
I
occasion.
think this is the one thing as a people we think too linearly. I think that there's an opportunity where there could be multiple layers, and I don't know that we wouldn't have realized the artists that we have now had we not had the technology we have now, or
We
the
act like Jay, DMX, and Ja Rule
right.
won't killing shit all at the
Exactly.
same
I feel
time.
like we could have.
Jay Z wasn't above Biggie at the
He
time.
didn't have
It
to be.
doesn't have to
Biggie
be
was the
above
And
or
this is
below.
no,
I
yo,
said killing
yo,
shit.
yo,
Nas
yo,
was
yo,
killing shit.
bro.
Biggie
Hove
And
was
that
Can,
was
killing
my.
shit.
I,
Big was
can,
yo,
killing
can,
shit.
let
LL
me.
was
Can I land my
still doing
point?
his
All
okay,
thing.
right.
let's do this.
If they were all killing shit, right? Why the
Man,
fuck are we?
stop dick riding,
No,
man.
hold on. So to
No,
my
I'm saying
point,
let's do one
hold on.
mic, one by one. J1
Yo,
land,
let
then
me just
Micah land.
finish
Let's
this.
move forward.
Let me land this, right? So if that's your point, my argument from the jump stands. If you saying all those niggas was killing shit, why the fuck we holding these two to the highest?
I
Yeah,
never
that's
said that
legit
was
my
the case. I
point.
asked you. I said, why would you say Nas won't held to a high standard? Like
No,
Nas was held up there along with them.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Pe-
bro,
People hold Nas. People knew Illmatic. People knew
That's a fact.
the second album. What are you talking about? That's what I'm saying. Like that was never the
That's a
case.
fact.
People hold them high because they were high up there too. But nobody
bro.
discounts Nas because of that. Nas is the shit.
Yeah,
No, there's a lot of discounting, and maybe you don't, but there's a lot of discounting in the industry because I have very close ties to the industry. It is felt. A lot of niggas would not be who they are. A lot of artists wouldn't even broke the mold if certain people were still
yeah,
alive.
but does that okay?
This
Does the
isn't
industry speak for the regular consumer though?
the industry speaks for the industry because the industry has to allow who is there letting in. That make yes. The industry speaks for who
Can
is let
can
in.
I can I add to a point? I see what Micah's saying, and I do partially agree with Micah too. I think there is a lane for everybody, but I think the part of what Jay is saying that I agree with is we have to remember the time when Biggie passed. That was shiny suit puff time. That was the time where Bad Boy was the thing and Biggie was the artist, and he had an album about to come out called Life After Death, and that was going to be something where it was going to skyrocket. It was going to move further. What I think is a thing. I don't think it's a Beyonce would be nothing if Aaliyah was still alive. That's not facts. I don't think Jay-Z would be nothing. No. But I think if we don't take into consideration that Biggie on the trajectory he was on, that would have impacted or maybe slowed some, maybe a little bit of the traction that Hove had. I'm not saying that it would have said Hove wouldn't be Hove, but maybe it would have been slower. Maybe it would have been a different position. Maybe he would have taken more of a back seat. Maybe he would have been more of an executive than I don't know. I don't know, but I do think it's fair to say with the trajectory Biggie was on before he passed, he was about to be a superstar along with Pac. And that's why I'm like, I don't know if the both of them passing, we can just say, oh, that's kind of why that's why I was saying earlier, the whole what they would have been. I don't enjoy it because we don't know. I do know we know their trajectory. I know where they were going, but to say what they would have been, what would have happened, it gets too tricky to me where I feel like I don't even know if that's even really an arguable point, generally speaking.
We could do that. Could have been shit for.
And
We could have been. We could have do all that. Could have been shit for days. We could.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
can I
It's
add
just.
one more piece to?
Yeah. Then
Can I
we'll
add
move on.
one more piece off of what you just said, and then I'm out of here, right? That argument is exactly why you're right. You know why? Because for our two biggest artists in New York for the last 10 years, well, the last seven, let's say the last 7 or so years, as far as the younger generation was A Boogie, Takashi, and Pop Smoke. If we held on to what would have been, from trajectory wise, Pop Smoke was about to surpass both of them. He died. We don't sit and say, "Oh, we did." It ain't. The two niggas that's alive still. The only one who is still holding the torch and carrying it is A Boogie. We would be naive to sit here and keep saying it would be Pop if Pop Smoke if Pop still lived. He didn't live, so we have to just what he did, and that's it. Somebody else came through and and continued the thing. Like stop living, and that be my whole argument. Stop living in the past, bro. Just because something is nan did to your heart, everything comes to an end. Everybody peaks.
All right. Now, okay. I think we did it. Over an hour on Pac. I think 45 minutes on Pac in
Yeah,
2024.
Yeah, yeah, we we
yeah.
did we
Go
did we
ahead.
did it,
Andrew.
gang. We
Okay,
did.
what?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you.